Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go to an article, which is actually a Reddit post, and it's a story about a U.S. soldier in the Army who basically gets even with his cheating wife when he was deployed in Iraq. And starts off where basically he is, he's deployed and she doesn't want him to go and she's crying her eyes out and all that. And they planned to, she was going to obviously live cheap with one of her friends for a while and pay off their debts so when he gets back, they can start a family. So he's deployed and he starts to notice after a couple months, all of a sudden she seems more distant. She's not as enthusiastic to talk to him. She responds to his texts to 1 or 2 word answers. And lo and behold, he finds out that she's having an affair. And so this guy is in Iraq, and any day something could happen and he could get killed. But meanwhile, she's back at home, living on his paychecks and cheating on him. Real nice, huh? And it's sad that because I've heard a lot of stories that apparently this happens. A lot with young guys, they're stationed overseas, and it seems that this happens quite a bit. I've heard a lot of stories. And so it's interesting and it's entertaining here what he does to get even with her. So the title of his story is Revenge on Cheating Wife, Now Ex, as well as the karma that came afterwards. Starts off saying, so I am in the Army and I was married. I was approaching my first deployment to Iraq. So the guy's definitely young here. It was very stressful and it had my wife wanting me to find a way to stay and not deploy. Obvious things any wife would try to talk about. Anyways, so we have no kids, but we both want them. So we talk about getting out of debt while I'm gone. She talks to her best friend back at home in another state where we are both from. Her friend agrees to let her move in and charge a modest $300 a month in rent so we can get out of debt and start a family when I get back home. A plan I was actually very pleased with. I deploy and she's there crying her eyes out, saying she will miss me and loves me and we will start a family when we get back home. All right, so far so good. Here's where things go south real quick. Fast forward 2 months, she starts acting distant, not wanting to talk much on our scheduled calls or text back 1 or 2 word answers. We've been together 6 years and she's never at a loss for words. Always pay attention to what a woman does, not what she says. Not the whole, you get the lovey-dovey words, but still pay attention to her actions. If all of a sudden, for you guys that are in relationships or dating or whatever, if all of a sudden she stops enthusiastically talking to you, if she's responding to your messages in 1 or 2 word answers and things like that, something's up. Her interest is dropping. And that could be a leading indicator. Eventually, either she's hooking up with some other dude or she's going to break up with you anytime. So always pay attention to what a woman's doing, not what she says. Again, for you guys that are dating and all that. Anyway, one day she says, I need some space. The classic line. She asks someone who is 10,000 miles away for space. I say, why she says, I say, why does she need some space? She wants to find herself. So I remember back when we lived at home, she had a guy who was always being borderline inappropriate. Seems like the good-looking women always have that one guy that's like that. And of course, they always have plenty of male orbiters that are more than happy to jump in the second you start screwing up. I'm not a very jealous person, and I trust her. So I start seeing the said guy on basically all her pictures she posts within a group, obviously in social media. Every time he is in the picture, everyone also changes, but never him. So for the first time, I'm very jealous and uneasy about everything. So I clone her phone so I receive every text she receives as well as every text she sends. I'll never forget the first text I saw after cloning her phone. And he's saying what he was reading. Hey babe, I'll see you after work. Want me to save you any kind of leftovers? From her to him. It destroyed me. I lost 35 pounds in a week. I didn't eat or sleep. I stared at the phone watching every conversation. Watching them talk about trying to have a baby. Ouch. It was literally everything a married person fears. I ask her if she is seeing someone, and she says, no, she isn't. She is taking care of herself, and she loves me, blah, blah. Again, pay attention to her actions, not her words. I don't say anything about receiving her text for 2 months. Man, he kept this quiet for 2 months. He's young. I would have confronted right away. Psh, done. Over this time, she finally admits cheating and that he is so much better than me at sex, treating her right, and does what she wants. Man, what a bitch. And again, this guy is 10,000 miles away. At any moment, something could happen to him. Meanwhile, she's getting the paychecks and enjoying the good old life on her husband, who she admits she's cheating with, and will continue to receive the checks because it's not like he can divorce her while he's stationed overseas. But karma's a bitch, and he gets even with her. During this time, she pays our debt off, gets tattoos with him, and he says matching I love you tattoos, goes to shows with him, buying clothes, etc., with the money I'm making. So this is where the revenge starts. I put a freeze on the account for a month. In that time, I change every password to every account to things she won't guess. And he says army jargon and slang terms. I block her on Facebook and my phone so she has no way to contact me. She lost her car to repo a few months later, got kicked out of her place, had to sell her prized shoes and purses just to stay alive. I then find out she got a job at her old restaurant. So I post all the text conversations I have with her and the guy talking about having babies that have timestamps on it, as well as post conversations we had with the matching timestamps showing all our friends what she had done. I then have friends call and complain at her job constantly on both he and her. They work at a restaurant, so I also have friends dine and dash. They both get fired. Woo. So she tries to call my command and tell them that I am abandoning her and she can't provide for herself. My commander knows what's going on. He does nothing because he had something similar happen. Then about a month before I come back, she calls me from another number to tell me she is pregnant with his kid. Big surprise. Mind you, I'm still gone, so we cannot get divorced yet. And by the way, the thing about her contacting his commander, I know for a fact in the military, they don't fuck around in terms of they don't want guys cheating on their wives and things like that. They want order. One of my buddies, a long time ago, he was I believe a captain in the Coast Guard. He was in charge of one of the boats he was on. And, when they would go on leave, wherever they were, this guy ran a tight ship, no pun intended. And basically, if any of his guys were messing around with their wives, they would get in trouble. I mean, seriously. And you would think that, hey, it's not their business. And personally, I think what somebody does in the bedroom is their own business. But obviously in the military, they want order back at home, because stability and order back at home in a family and a marriage helps the guys do their job. But from everything I've heard, this type of thing happens all the time. It's really sad, especially to the young guys. Goes on to say, she moved away with him 10 hours from me. And then it says April 24th, 2018. Obviously, this is a couple years old. She calls me 5 months pregnant, crying uncontrollably, asking me where she should go. Apparently, they had a giant blow-up fight, and she tells him she is leaving. She says she doesn't know where to go, and I simply say, sorry, not my problem anymore. It's not his problem. Fast forward January this year, she calls me from a mutual friend's phone. And this is their conversation. She says, he hit me. I don't know what to do. Me, the guy, maybe you don't cheat on your husband when he is deployed for some guy who talks a big game. Her, well, I guess you're happy about this. Me, the guy, no, but I'm glad I know that I'm not the bad guy in this story. And then the next month, she calls him again. Her, he is cheating on me with 2 girls. I'm sorry, I regret everything I did. I fucked it all up. Putting on the sob story. And he says, yeah, you did. So notice how in the first thing, like she has the audacity to get mad at him and give him shit, and then later on she's crying about it and wanting the guy that she cheated on and lied to and did all these things and spent all his money and got pregnant with another guy's baby. She wants him to fix it and she wants him to feel bad. Are you fucking kidding me? All in all, this woman destroyed my life. Put me into a deep depression I'm still dealing with. But I do feel a little better having proof that I wasn't the problem. He wasn't the problem. To think of this happen even 10 or 5 years ago, I would have come back to an empty bank account, an empty house, as well as seeing my then wife pregnant with another man's baby. She actually hit me up yesterday to ask for some money to help her cover rent. And that's the end of the story, but he had a little thing here, because apparently he got some questions, because he edited his post on Reddit. And he says, to answer a few questions, he says, I realized I left out that we got divorced before the kid was born, so I have no financial responsibility to her and haven't now for almost a year. Hey, that's awesome. He said, I mainly use T-Mobile's Digit service to clone the phone. Google it. I don't feel like typing it. Yeah, I always wonder how they talk about cloning phones, how that actually worked. Not that I want to do it, but I'm just curious. Any of you guys ever cloned a phone or know anybody that did it? Let me know. I'm just wondering. And he also says, also know I wasn't celebrating that she was physically abused. I did tell her to call the cops, but that's all I did. It's not right to abuse someone, but I also have no responsibility to watch out for her well-being. So there you go, guys. That's the story there. He definitely got even with her. And again, it's really sad because, I hear this all the time. These young guys, they're deployed. Their lives are in danger at any moment where they're deployed. Something could happen to them. Meanwhile, their wives back home, having an affair, hooking up with multiple dudes, living in their house, spending their money. It's really a shame. But he definitely got even with her. Justice has been served for good for him. And I hope this guy really gets his life together and definitely learns from this hard experience. So, and meanwhile, she's stuck with that baby. But obviously this woman found some other sucker to raise this kid, guaranteed, as long as she still has her looks. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.